Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is USA Global TV and Radio, and we're here for another fabulous episode of A Woman's Prerogative. I'm Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK, and I'm thrilled to have you here with us today for our topic, which is perception versus reality on a woman's prerogative. Joining me is the star of our program. This woman has seen it all. She has helped people all across the world in many capacities. She is a multiple certified coach. When I say multiple, meaning multiple certifications. She works with leaders, she works with teams, and she and I met many years ago. I think it's 7 years ago now. Frightening. And we are still together bringing you education and entertainment. Let's welcome Mariska du Preez to the show. Hello, hello. Did you know it's 7 years?
I just did a quick calculation in my head too. It's like, what?
It's 7 years we've been working together. I love it.
Yeah. It feels like yesterday and it feels like forever at the same time. It's so paradoxical and yet so wonderful.
Well, I think the best part of it is that we met over a screen and we've never actually met in person and we're friends. So anything can happen. So for people out there, you never know. You've got to put yourself out there and you don't know where it's going to go. So Mariska, we have new people joining us all the time, and welcome to each and every one of you. Please give our audience a little bit of information about what you're doing and how you're helping other people.
So what I'm doing is I work with leaders. Now, it doesn't matter whether you are new, stepping into a leadership role. Maybe you've been in your specialization for some time and you are starting to lead a team or a smaller group of people other than just you. Or whether you are stepping up in your leadership role where you are moving from one space in leadership to another space in leadership. And even when you are only leading yourself, because we lead ourselves in multiple ways, right? We create our own life and we are the leader within it. So whichever one it is that you might be in at the moment or thinking about stepping into, I mean, the one that you are leading yourself is you are always in, but any of the other ones, that's whom I would work with. And we work around looking at what it is that we can do to bring more of ourselves and humanness into our leadership space. And of course, as Dr. Jacalyn have on there, you can find me on LinkedIn and we can start our conversations from there. And for today, seeing as this is the beginning of the show, I would love to jump into the conversation that me and Dr. Jacalyn will be having with you guys. So if you have any comments that you want to share along the way, please do drop them in the chat box thing. And then we can see what it is that you have on your mind too.
That's right. We'd love to hear from you, but guess what? We want positive comments. Haters, go somewhere else. Find another channel to watch. We're all about positive energy. So Mariska, perception versus reality. This is a topic you came up with. I've got some great ideas, but I want to know, what were you thinking? What was going on in that head when you came up with this title?
Well, it was early in the morning. And I don't know about you, but there's a lot of times where I might think about something in a certain way, and then when I try to test it or when I come across it in other spaces, I might find that the thing that I have perceived in one way actually shows up in a different way. And I thought, well, I am sure that if this happens to me, so this was a hypothesis. If this happens to me, I was hoping that there would be other people out there that experience something similar. So I thought, well, why not come and discuss it? Yeah, so at least I can test it with you. The two of us can see whether this is something. And well, the rest of the world will now be part of our experiment. So that's how I came up with it.
Absolutely. And I'd like to add a caveat into that. And by the way, we have no script. So Mariska has no idea what I'm going to be talking about. I have no idea what she's going to be talking about. I'd like to add the caveat in that many times when we come up with the perception, it's a story we've told ourselves that may not be rooted in facts whatsoever. And the more we start to buy into it, the more it becomes our reality. And then if we find out what the true reality is, sometimes we can be shocked. It's like an awakening because we told ourselves this whole story. Have you ever had that happen?
Yes. There is something about us telling ourselves stories, right? So that we see things in a certain way. I recall, and I mean, I have been counting since I was very little. Don't know about you guys, but we learn how to count when we are little. And yet, I was playing a game with my husband. A game, right? It was one of these little, it's like an escape room in a box. So you have a box with a whole bunch of clues and things that you need to figure out. And then as you figure them out, you uncover more clues so that you can get to the end of the game. And in that space, there was a lock with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And for some odd reason, I tried to figure out what was the number that was written there. And my husband said, no, I think it was a 1 or a 7. We couldn't quite see what it was. It was very, very small. And my brain was, well, this number would make sense because it comes next to that number. And he said, no, but it can't be because we are missing a number. And I had this idea in my head for some odd reason that the number that I said was the number. And after a while, and I got very, very agitated and frustrated with the fact that he didn't want to listen to me. After a while, he said, okay, please count for me from 0 to 9. And I counted 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's what you meant. So it dawned on me that my counting was off. And because my counting was off, I was looking at two numbers that might not be the two numbers. It might be something else. So as an illustration of how perception and the stories we tell ourselves might not be the right stories, can influence the reality that actually plays out in real life. Dr. Jacalyn, and with that little embarrassing story of mine, do you have anything else to add to that?
I can give you an embarrassing story also, but by the way, thank you for your transparency. It's not always easy to open up, especially when we're on television and knowing it's going to be out there forever. So here's mine. So I have ulcerative colitis. That's not news. I've had it for 35 years. And last year I was really sick. It was the sickest I've ever been. I had a flare for like 5 months and I went for a colonoscopy and the doctor said, you know, we couldn't actually see a lot because it was poor preparation. And so I was really embarrassed and ashamed. And he's like, you're going to have to come back in 2 months. So I decided I wasn't coming back. So this was in March. So I was supposed to come back. I didn't come back. Then I scheduled it because they keep calling you. Hello, when are you coming? So I scheduled it for September and I canceled it. Then I scheduled it for December and then I canceled it. And then I scheduled it for yesterday. And on Friday, I called and I tried to cancel, but when they switched me to the right department, no one answered the phone. So I called Monday and they switched me again and no one answered the phone. So in my mind, I had already built up the fact that because I'm a high risk for colon cancer, that I was going to get some horrific news and I really didn't want to go. And I almost like physically made myself ill because I told myself this story that really wasn't grounded on anything except for fear. And so I went for the colonoscopy yesterday after the hideous preparation they have to do. And because I've had the disease for so long, they give me the strongest prep that you possibly can take, which I'm not even going to go in. It's a jug. It's a huge jug that's filled with some kind of powder that, yeah, let's not even go into it. So anyway, I got the test results today, and thank God I don't have cancer and I don't have precancerous cells. And I would never have known if I didn't go. I told myself this story, so I've got to go back in 3 months because because I'm on the watch list. But we tell ourselves these stories and we build things up, and then the reality is this. And I actually cried when I got the test results today because I had built up this whole case of what was going on and that I could be strong and brave and I do whatever it is. So that's my example, and that's kind of embarrassing. So I think we both shared some embarrassing examples, but there's also day-to-day examples of things that, and I'll give you one. So let's say you text someone or you email someone or you call someone or you WhatsApp someone, you message someone, and they don't get back to you. Sometimes, I know I've done this, we tell ourselves a story. They don't like me anymore. They don't want to talk to me anymore. Oh, something must have happened, something horrific. Maybe they can't write anymore. Maybe they can't, like they were extradited to another country. Like you come up with all kinds of things. And the bottom line was they just didn't check it because they were doing something else, right? Have you ever done that?
Yes, we have a tendency to catastrophize in our minds. Now, some of us do this on a regular basis with everything, and some of us do this in a lesser extent. And I did a very interesting exercise not so long ago where you actually go and you have a look at what's your thought patterns around different areas of life. And the way that it was framed was, do I blame myself? So I take it on. I wasn't a good friend. I'm not patient enough. I'm not, whatever the story is that we make up. So is it me? Or is it the other person, as you mentioned? They don't like me anymore. They don't want to talk to me, whatever the case might be. So it's the other person. Or is it the circumstance? So is it bigger than both of us? There was a flood and their phone got broken, or there was some horrific thing that happened for whatever reason, right? So we make it something that's even bigger. And interestingly enough, what I found interesting is in different areas of my life, I would do typically different types of things and with different relationships. So if I'm thinking about things in relationship with my family, I might think about it more as the them. Go look at family dynamics there, right? Whereas when I'm thinking about it in friends or colleagues, I might think about it as either me or circumstances bigger. So it was interesting just going through the process and seeing how my thought patterns influence the way that I would react to things when something would happen. And to your point, Dr. Jacalyn, it's perception. All of that, none of that is reality. I don't know, right? I don't know what the thing is that happened. No clue, because I didn't ask, I didn't confirm, I didn't check. I'm just guessing. I'm making up this nice story.
It's what happens. We start just orchestrating this entire thing. And sometimes we bring people into it that aren't even involved. It's like, well, I wonder if they're not talking to me because so-and-so said this or that, and then we have a guilt complex because we think, okay, well, what did I say to her? It gets crazy. It gets so out of hand. And then when you find out what the reality is, which this brings up, I think a fun topic, there's a movie that was out many years ago. It was called He's Just Not That Into You. And stories that we tell ourselves where we give our significant other, in the example, not someone that we're married to probably, but just someone we're dating or in a relationship with, and they don't call or they don't respond the way that they were responding. And I'll never forget this. And this is really embarrassing. I was seeing this guy and he kind of just disappeared. And we were seeing each other for a while. And I was like, oh my gosh, he must be in the hospital. maybe he was in an accident, and actually started calling around. Like after a week, I started calling different hospitals to find out if he had been checked in there. It was back in the day when you actually could get some information. Today, I don't think you actually can unless you're a family member. But then it turned out he was dating someone else and he just wasn't that into me, but he never told me. But in my mind, I thought he has to have been injured in some way. And it's just kind of funny when you think about it, because the reality is typically something that's different. So based on your experience as a multi-certified coach, what do you think this all stems from? Any ideas?
Well, if I had to venture a guess, it is most probably part of our belief system. So as we grow up, we develop a whole bunch of beliefs and ways of being that supports us, right? When we're little, it supported us to keep us safe, to keep us sane, to keep us functioning in the environment that we were. So typically, these type of things show up in negative patterns or in not healthy patterns inside of our family units more often than not. But then we have now developed it, right? So now we carry it into the rest of life, and we continue to utilize it in other areas where it may or may not be successful. But because of this, it creates a whole bunch of other things that might cause dramas in our life unnecessarily, because we have these patterns that we work with. So belief systems and that underlying thread, I think for most people is part of that perception, because we are sense-making, meaning-making machines. So if you think about us as human beings, we make meaning from things, right? You will have an experience, whatever the experience is, car crash. So I have this experience. I'm in an accident. Now, if I'm the driver, the meaning that I might make is that I need to drive more carefully. Or if I blame other people, that everybody else around me is now bad drivers, right? So that might be the meaning that I make due to the thing that happened. If I'm a passenger, the meaning might be different. So depending on where we are, the experience that we go through, and the meaning that we make from past belief systems or belief systems that we have that's running in for ourselves, it changes the things that we see. So this impacts the perception, which then impacts the reality that we are experiencing or not experiencing and checking against. Because another thing that happens is something called confirmation bias. So if you think about any bias that you have, and yes, do not tell me that you don't have one, we are human, we all have it. We'll have some bias of some sort. So when you have identified said bias, the tendency is that we will have spaces. So our brain naturally looks for things that's similar to that bias. It wants to confirm it for us. So it only picks out, it cherry picks, a little bit like Google search terms, right? It cherry picks the things that you are interested in. It doesn't give you all the variety of music that you can possibly choose from. No. It only gives you the genres that you have already listened to, which I find very annoying. But the brain already works like this, right? So we do this on a regular basis. So I suspect it has got to do with our belief systems and the way our physiology works. And it might not be all of it. So Dr. Jacalyn, what do you think?
I think you bring up a good point, something that I hadn't thought about before, because how we were brought up and situations that we were in may carry through as we get older. So, for example, when I mentioned about being in a relationship with a guy and he disappeared and I thought that he was in a hospital, he was actually dating someone else, that could have something to do with something that happened to me when I was growing up, and insecurity, for example. And I think that we have these insecurities, and we let them sort of eat away at us, right? Eat away at who we are. Because if you think about it, if you are in a relationship and someone doesn't contact you, okay, if something dreadful happens to them, someone would probably call you and let you know, or it might be on social media or somewhere. But it's hard to accept the fact that the situation is what it is. So I probably just made up a story because that story was easier to believe than the fact that the guy wasn't interested in me.
It's very possible. I think there's also our psyche tries to, it's very clever. It always tries to protect us. It doesn't always do it in a way that's helpful. Always. But it does try very hard to protect us. So if something comes up for us and we have a weird reaction to it, right? We might do something or say something that feels out of the norm. Typically, it is most probably a pattern that's running. And the pattern is trying to help us out. It might not, as I said, do it in the best way. Right? So it might have been a pattern that we developed somewhere else. It's our inner 5-year-old. And our inner 5-year-old came to the conclusion that nagging is the best way to go to get a certain thing to happen. And now we might be 30 or 50, and we are still utilizing the same approach with less success, or maybe a lot more annoyance with people around us. So understanding where some of these things might be coming from, and also understanding that your subconscious is trying to help, right? That's what it's trying to do. It's trying to help you, keep you safe, make it better. Not necessarily in the best way that it can, because it might have gotten stuck somewhere, like in its 5-year-old self. So we need to help get it unstuck and then move it through so that it can get to a better place, and then recreate from a place that is more generative and better for us in general. So yes, that's it. It is. I love human psyche and finding out how we tick.
It is fascinating. And here's another example. Many times when something happens to us or we're doing something, we feel like everyone is talking about us. Everyone's looking at us. Look, they're looking at me. They're looking at me. And the truth is, no one really cares because people are so caught up in themselves. And I've got another example, of course. So back in August, when I was at the gym, I was taking this class that I always take, and I was running and I fell off the treadmill. So I've told you that story before. So after I fell off the treadmill and I gathered up my pride, I went to urgent care and I healed. I still have one scar left. I went back to the gym. And for a long time, I held on to the treadmill. And I thought, everyone's talking. Like, I'm looking around like they're talking about me. Everyone's saying, why is she holding on to the treadmill? So finally, I realized no one cares that you're holding on to the treadmill, except the instructor who came over and said, I wish you wouldn't hold on to the treadmill. But have you ever had that where you really, truly believe, you're not being paranoid, you are convinced that whatever it is you're doing or whatever you said, that everyone's talking about it?
Yes, definitely. I remember especially, so for most people, this might have happened somewhere in your teenage years, right? Where we are acutely aware of everybody around us and not necessarily as aware of ourselves. And that's normal. It's part of our growth process. But I do remember, especially in high school. So I think mostly in the US, you guys don't wear uniforms to school. We did. So in South Africa, it is normal for us to wear uniforms. Everybody has the same type of uniform and you wear a uniform to school. So on occasions, when it's a special occasion, like certain times in the year, we get to not wear uniform, then you can wear other stuff. And I remember there was an occasion like that, and that was still fine. And now I'm a little bit reptilic in my body, in the sense that I don't heat up easily for myself. If I have heat sources around me. It's a lot easier, but I get cold really easy. And I decided that typically in school, they had a rule for at this date, you go to summer wear, and this date, you go to winter wear. And I was like, yep, no, it's too cold for me. I'm just going to do winter wear. And I remember being so self-conscious that whole day, walking around in my winter wear because I was the only student in the school wearing winter wear. It's still my uniform, but it's winter wear uniform. And I also thought everybody's looking at me. And I think I had only one comment for the whole day. And the person was like, oh, that's actually clever. I was cold too today. I'm like, okay. But the whole day I felt like everybody's looking at me, and they weren't. And if they were, they might have thought, dang it, why didn't I do the same thing? So it's interesting how we can get in our own heads about people's perceptions of us while they might just be focusing on themselves.
It's very true. And something else that comes to mind is many times we will put something off because the thought of actually doing it, it's just so upsetting. We just think to ourselves, I just can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. So I'll give an example. I don't watch regular cable television. I watch streaming platforms, and I typically only watch reality TV shows. And the reason I do is I love to watch the interaction between the people, because you usually have to accomplish something. And almost every time, whatever show it is, you have to have these people as your allies, and then they're going to get voted off. It doesn't matter. Like now I'm watching Ink Master, even though I have no tattoos. I like learning about tattoos, and I like to see how the people are working together. And so the point is that in watching a lot of this, people are doing things that they didn't think they would do. In Traders, for example, another show, one of the activities, these people had to go into this small cabin, and they had to actually stick their face through this hole, and the hole was covered with scorpions and all kinds of bugs, and they had to get something out of there. And so the point is, in that moment, it's like, oh, I'm in a contest. I can win this huge amount of money. I'm going to do something that I don't want to do, but there's a reward at the end. But if someone asks you to do that just for no reason, you're probably not going to do it. If someone said, Mariska, why don't you stick your hand in that box of snakes? You're probably not going to do it. But there are a lot of things in life on the day-to-day basis that we might not want to do. And even in our careers, and I'll give one that most people can relate to, it's public speaking. I mean, we're here on a television show. We're not afraid to talk. I think when I first met you, we had a conversation, would this be a good fit? And you weren't actually sure about it. And look at you now, 7 years later. But the thought of public speaking, if I said to you, Mariska, why don't you apply to be on a TED, to be a TED speaker? You might feel one way or another way. And to someone who doesn't have public speaking experience, it might be like, are you out of your mind? There's no way. But yet, if you were to apply and do it, that would be life-changing. So these things that our perception is that it's the worst thing in the world, it could actually be the best thing in the world for us.
Yeah. And typically, I think the things that we feel is the worst thing in the world, there's a lot of fear attached to it for us, right? There's something that psychologically, it feels like death. Yeah. It's not that you will physically die when you're on the stage. We all know you'll be fine. Many people has gone on the stage. You might sweat profusely, but nobody's died from it yet that I'm aware of. So you should be fine going on stage, and yet it feels like there's a death. There's a psychological thing there that prevents us from doing it, and that's typically what fear does. It can be so debilitating that it prevents us from trying something out, whether it is public speaking, starting your own business, doing something you love instead of going to some job that you hate. Whatever the thing is that you want to step into, right? It might require a little bit of growth from us so that we can learn how this works. I mean, for me and you, Dr. Jacalyn, we do this on a regular basis. So for me, doing it with a screen, I am good. Having to command a bigger stage, I don't know what I'll do. Right? I don't do that on such a regular basis. So I might not know what to do with the space, but I can find out. I can prepare myself. I can learn how it works. And everything on this planet is learnable. There's nothing that's not learnable. So if you really want to do it, even if you are really, really, really afraid of it, but it's something that you want to do, I would say, go for it. And
absolutely. That means you're going to apply to be a TED speaker. I can't wait. Or maybe TEDx. That's fantastic. It reminds me of something else, that it's perception versus reality. Many times, if we have to go and see someone who is ill, or they're in the hospital, or someone passed away and we have to call significant other or the family members, sometimes people actually will not do it. They will not do it because they are so overwhelmed. The perception that they have is that every word that they say is going to be held on to, that instead of them making the effort, the person's going to analyze the fact that they didn't say the right thing. And so this can actually, and I know people that have this situation, they'll get sick thinking about going to the hospital to visit someone, or the fact that they have to go to a funeral and go through the line and say something to each of the people, instead of putting the focus, like the reality is, let's put the focus on the people who are really suffering. It's about them. It's not about us. But yet in the moment, we make it all about us. And then my next segue is the perception versus reality of attending a networking event. And I have to raise my hand on this. For so many years, and you know this about me, I was terrified to go to a networking event. So I was working in corporate America. I was traveling the world. I was calling on some of the biggest companies in the world. But if I had to go to a social event, if I had to go walk into a cocktail party or a networking event, I would literally get so upset. I had to go into the bathroom and run my wrists under cold water to calm myself down. And at some point, someone said to me, no one cares that you're there. I mean, maybe someone wants to talk to you, but in my mind, it's like, oh, I'm walking into the room and everyone's talking about me. And that's actually a very insecure and ego-driven perspective, instead of just thinking about who you are going to talk about when you're walking in. What's the objective of you being there? And so once I switched the script, I changed the perspective, then I saw what the reality was. And the reality was, in many cases, those events are a waste of time. So that's my story on that.
I'm with you on the networking thing. I actually went to a local networking event. One the end of last year, I think went well. The other one, the beginning of this year, might need some tweaking. So the big thing for me, to think about networking events, especially because, yes, they might be good for our career and getting to know people and all the rest of it. But typically what we find is in most networking events, if they are not set up in a way where we can network well, what happens is people that know each other just stick together, right? And the people that don't know each other, well, they hang around everywhere, or they go and stand in a little corner somewhere close to a table. That would be me. If you are looking for me in a networking event, look for corners. I must probably be in one. And that is problematic, because why are we there? We are there to meet other people. That's the intention, right? Now, if you're a bit of an introvert, that's a bit of a problem already, because we don't like that many people around us all at the same time. We are better with fewer people. And it's also difficult to actually go and walk up to a person and go, hello, I am, whatever your name is, and start a conversation, right? It is tricky to do that. So if the event itself, the organizers of the event didn't think through how to do this well with other people, typically it has a tendency to fall flat, which is what I found in the one that we had this year. The other one, we actually went into groups and we had a bit of an activity that we did. Great. And they post-populated the groups. They let everybody go and sit first, and then they said, okay, so now whatever table you are on, you're going to switch, and you are not allowed to sit with friends. So we had to, right? It was like this is intentional, which to me, that's a type of networking event where you can actually get something out of it.
For sure.
Networkers out there, think about these things, please, for us introverts.
Well, from networking, I'm going to our last topic because we are clearly almost out of time. The next and last topic is cold calling, perception versus reality. I remember my first job way back in the dark ages. A lot of our viewers right now might not have even been alive. I remember I was selling the Sunday newspaper. It was for something called I think it was just called the Inquirer at the time. It's the Philadelphia Inquirer for Philadelphia. And the Sunday newspaper, remember newspapers? I don't know that everyone remembers them, but the newspaper was really thick and it had coupons and it had magazines in it. And so it was extra money. And so my job was to call literally on a rotary phone, dialing for dollars, we used to call it, call on the phone and ask people to order the Inquirer. And if they ordered the Sunday edition as well, because they could just get during the week, wow, I would get an extra bonus. So the perception was that cold calling was a complete waste of time. And in many jobs today, you have to cold call. And believe it or not, we're typically cold calling as humans, whether we realize it or not. But the reality is that when you have something of value to offer someone, then it is worth it. But we have to be able to convey very quickly what is the value that we bring. So in talking about a lot of the things that we discussed today, it's about the inner focus instead of the outer focus. So when we are so caught up in ourselves, everyone's talking about me, everyone thinks it's me, then we are not being effective. We don't come to the table with any value. But when we're focused on the other person, when we're focused on the other person at the end of the phone, then it makes a difference. And I want to bring up a movie reference, The Wolf of Wall Street. Have you seen it?
It rings a bell. I think I have.
One of the greatest movies of all time, I think. But there is an episode, I don't want to say episode, a segment in there, and there's a part about cold calling. And this one particular guy isn't able to make something happen, and then the other guy does. And so the bottom line is it's how you present yourself. It's getting the information to someone very quickly. So if you believe that you will not be a success at cold calling, you probably won't, because you don't know what the value is that you have to bring. If you believe you're going to go to a networking event and it's not going to work out for you, you probably don't have a story that you are interested in hearing a response, because we're going in with business cards going, oh, hi, here. No one wants your business card. And I especially love that when people don't ask for the business card and someone gives it to you anyway. It's almost like when you go to a trade show and they give you bags of stuff with like flyers, and on the way out, you just put it right in the trash can. It's like, bye. You didn't ask me if I wanted it. You just gave it to me. So always have value. So Mariska, what would you like to leave our audience with today when it comes to perception versus reality?
Well, I would say, check your inner state, right? Understand what it is. What are you operating from? If you are noticing that there's an anxiety, a fear, a worry, that sort of emotional energy to it, unpack it for yourself. What's behind that? Because that is the thing that's going to be blocking you, and it colors your perception of what reality is. And then remember confirmation bias, so that you don't only accept the things that are similar to what you think. Start to look for the things that might not be similar, because now we can enrich the reality that we are actually seeing. And then, of course, testing it for ourselves, right? I know for some people it is about the people are looking at me space. And for some of us, it is a lot about we only listen to the external voices and we don't listen to our own voice. And we have sort of pushed down our own voice so much that we don't even hear it. So understand what you are doing. You want to check both. You want to check your own voice, right? Because what is true and right for you to be doing and not doing. And of course, if there's a fear in there, unpacking that for yourself. And you also want to check whether the voices that you are getting from outside is valid and true. Please think for yourself. This is, if nothing else, just think for yourself. It is really important, especially in today's AI age where, I don't know, people think that PCs can think for them. They are not meaning-making machines. You are. So start making your own meaning in a way that's generative. And that's what I would leave people with for today.
Fantastic. How can people get in touch with you, and who would you like to contact you?
So how you can get in touch with me is either via my email address, which you can see at the bottom or the top, depending on which device you are using. My email address is Mariska, Mariska, @journey, JOURNEY, _2, discover, DISCOVER.com. Or alternatively, you can also find me on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, it's nice and easy. You can DM me there. Well, connect and then DM. Or I think there's an option to actually just DM before you connected, or as part of your connection. Or you can also find me on my website. So website journey2, discover.com. And there's a little form to fill in. So you can fill the form in and I will get back to you from there. So that's the ways that you can get hold of me. And this is whether you are a leader stepping from a speciality into leadership, or you are stepping up within your leadership space. And of course, remember, you are a leader no matter what it is that you do in life. So if you want to be a little bit more human in any space of life, you know where to find me.
Thank you, Mariska. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I just want to let our audience know that they can subscribe to our channels. Let me bring up this graphic. So we are streaming in many places, but we'd love for you to go over to YouTube, to USA Global TV and Radio, where we have earned the YouTube Silver Creator Award for over 100,000 subscribers. We're at 108,000 right now. And Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK, I think we're at 37,000 there. So please do subscribe. Mariska, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And I look forward to seeing you again in about a week.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye for now.
Bye. All right, please do contact with Mariska. If you'd like to get in touch with me, my information is in the show notes. Let me see if I can bring it up here. I can never find my own information. Isn't that funny? Okay, so you can go to my website, usaglobaltv.com or drjacalyn.com. And you can also find me on LinkedIn, which I think I've pulled up. Let me see if I can share that here. I have it. Yes, you can connect with me here on LinkedIn. I would love to hear from you. Okay, so as we close out today, Mariska mentioned artificial intelligence, and we had, I think, a really good show on AI today. Myself and Alcini for the business show, we talked about artificial intelligence. So as a closeout, I'm going to run the promo of our business show, which is on Thursdays at 7 a.m. Pacific time, 10 a.m. Eastern time. And that is 11, 12, 1, 2, 3 p.m. GMT. E-I-E-I-O. Okay, here we go. Here's the intro for the business show. Check it out.
Markets shift overnight. Technology rewrites industries. Leadership decides who survives and who scales. Real stories, real people, real business. Welcome to the Business Show on USA Global TV and Radio, reaching audiences in more than 60 countries and home of the YouTube Silver Creator Award for surpassing 100,000 subscribers. This is not theory. This is not recycled commentary. This is business in motion. Founders, CEOs, investors, strategists, operators, the people building companies, moving capital, driving innovation. We go beyond headlines into decisions, beyond noise into strategy. Beyond trends, into execution. Growth, disruption, artificial intelligence, global markets, leadership under pressure. Hosted by Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK and Al Sini, the business show delivers direct, unfiltered conversations with the leaders shaping the future of enterprise. If you're launching, scaling, investing, or redefining your next move, this is your front row seat. No spin, no scripts, no surface talk. Real stories, real people, real business. This is clarity in motion. This is momentum. This is the business show on USA Global TV and Radio. Executive producer Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Original music score Yefe Tang. Videography and production Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form are strictly prohibited.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.